Good afternoon, Selva. Thank you for answering a few questions about the International Federation's work in Bangladesh. Firstly, can you tell us of the major achievements of the International Federation during the last 1 year?
Well, during the last 1 year, Bangladesh has been struck by at least two major disasters. Firstly, the floods of July 2007, and shortly after, Cyclone SIDR, which struck on 15 November 2007. These two disasters were large-scale disasters. The first disaster affecting approximately 10 million people in 42 districts out of 64 districts, and the second disaster, Cyclone SIDR, again affecting approximately 8 to 10 million people. Although the number affected district is small, but the magnitude of destruction is high.
And what have been the challenges that the Federation has faced while doing its work for these two big disasters that have taken place in Bangladesh?
Well, there are numerous challenges, but the major challenges are: number one, the affected population has been large. We are talking of 8 to 10 million people. Now, although many organizations have come forward and said we are involved, but actually it's difficult to gauge the level of assistance. Some may assist each family with 5 kilos of rice, whereas if you are following the SPEAR standard, each family should be receiving something much more than that. And for the Federation and the Red Cross Red Crescent family, to avoid duplication, we have to leave out communities that have been assisted by other organizations. But on the other hand, if you see organizations have been assisting just 5 kilos of rice or just 1 kilo of dal, which is far below SPEAR standard, it is difficult for the Federation to avoid such families. And if you avoid, these families have not received a decent portion. And to give them would also mean that we are duplicating resources. And in the field, this has caused a lot of unhappiness, difficulties, etc. Number two, if you are looking at Cyclone SIDR or even the flood, most of the victims which we are assisting are in the far remote areas which have got difficulties in accessibility, whereas different organizations are reaching communities which are easy to reach, and these communities are receiving much more than those communities who are difficult to reach. So these are some of the other challenges. And the other challenge is there are far too many disasters happening in Bangladesh. Although these two major ones have been mentioned, but we are also talking of tornadoes, rising water, we are also talking of slum fires, etc.
So, Selva, what are the plans of the International Federation for the coming 1 or 2 years in Bangladesh?
Well, the plans of the International Federation are multi-layered. One is on the ongoing programs to build the capacity of the Bangladesh Red Crescent Society in the field of disaster management, emphasizing a lot on disaster risk reduction, also building a preparedness plan, which is preparedness in terms of non-food items, preparedness in terms of building capacities of volunteers, preparedness in terms of building capacity of communities, coordination mechanism. We are also talking of mitigation projects, and of course in the field of health there are training programs put in place for health emergencies, training programs to build the capacities of volunteers, staff, communities, etc.
The last question, Selva, is what can the international community do to help the Federation and other organizations in Bangladesh, including the government of Bangladesh, to help reduce the impact of disasters, including the monsoon period when people always expect floods in Bangladesh?
Well, the most important here is good communication, coordination, and cooperation. Unless there is good communication, coordination, and cooperation, it's difficult for all of us to handle. Now, looking at the magnitude of disasters today, we are talking of partnership. No one single organization nor government can handle disasters alone. So, as such, we are talking of close partnership, good communication, and coordination in order to alleviate human suffering.
Thank you, Selva, and all the best for your work in Bangladesh.
Thank you. Was that okay?